What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. What's up with you?
I'm tired.
I'm not. Well, I mean, I kind of am, but not fully.
That's good.
Why are you tired?
I worked way too much this week.
Well, stop.
Oh, okay. I won't
I've
work.
been sick for the past week, so
Oh, no. What happened to you,
yeah,
Joseph?
like caught some sort of flu or something like that.
God damn. Attack of the COVID, huh?
Something. I didn't actually test for it, but yeah, I slowly got sick last Friday. Felt like I got punched in the face on Saturday and Sunday, and I've just been getting a little better every day after that.
Or at least you're getting better.
So I'm gonna try and mute everything every time I cough.
Okay.
Yeah. Why have you guys been working a lot?
Holidays ramping up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Like 12-hour days.
That sucks. Well, but then you've been kind of working 12-hour days anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just 4 in a row is just not fun.
No, that wouldn't be fun. Work 12-hour days. At least it sounds like you're getting overtime.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they're saying that we can't get overtime at the DDC. So every minute that if I usually end up getting to work like 15 minutes early, and last night I ended up leaving like 15, 20 minutes late because we just got slammed with fucking computers yesterday. And so I have to basically cut hours tomorrow. So I get to do fun math, and every minute that I would be over if I stayed another 8 hours tomorrow means I have to cut that minute. So it's kind of cool in the sense that Friday ends up being like a partial half day.
There you go.
But it also kind of sucks because it's like, fuck, man, if I could get just a couple of minutes of overtime, that'd be nice.
Just a few minutes.
Just a few minutes. Yeah. I would have thought that going there as well, like especially during the holiday times, they wouldn't care if we got overtime or not.
Yeah, they may change their mind later on when they realize that you're super falling far behind.
Yeah. And if it continues to be like it was yesterday, then damn, we will fall far behind, which sucks.
Or they just have to learn to, hire enough people to do the workload.
Oh no, they already said that they aren't hiring for the season. So we're hired up. What we got is what we got. Make do.
Well,
make do.
Make do with them overtime minutes, dog.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Yep.
I've been waiting for my I had 2 news articles saved here, but for some reason they don't want to sync over to my computer here.
Oh no.
There was actually nothing really interesting to me this past week, partially because I was probably sick and I just didn't really spend much time in news.
No, there wasn't.
Okay, good, because then the other times when I did actually run through the news, there was just like politics and midterm elections and more shootings and this and that. It's like, cool. I'm already depressed in my everyday life. I don't need to be more depressed here. Excuse me. One of the articles I did save, though, that I didn't fully end up reading all the way through, but I thought was interesting, from Engadget, a Streets of Rage movie is being written by John Wick's creator. That's it. I think that's cool. I mean, if it's anything like John Wick,
shit's gonna be violent.
And it's Streets of Rage, so Streets of Rage is the side-scrolling video game. Excuse me as I just have mucus coming out of every orifice here.
Yum.
Yum. Delicious, I know. There's nothing in here that I saw about like when it's going to be released or whatnot, or who else is working on it.
Which John Wick writer, though? Does it say in here?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to also see. Derek Kolstad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Same with, apparently, let's see. Derek said production companies DJ2 Entertainment and Escape Artists are also involved in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Are also on board to make it. So also, making video game movies, which I actually like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I still haven't seen the second one yet, but it's got pretty good reviews from what I saw. Anyway, so yeah, if people don't know what Sonic the Rage Streets, wow.
Sonic the Rage Street Hedgehog.
Sonic the Rage Streets. Streets of Rage was just an old school side-scrolling beat-em-up video game. There is a new one out, Streets of Rage 4. I know some people have played it that I know. I tried playing it, and I suck at these games, but I think they're fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it as long as it is kind of like still very much in this Streets of Rage format, and just don't want it to be turned into another generic action movie.
I want there to be at least one scene where the characters have to fight a bunch of dudes going in one direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not the whole movie, but like
not the whole movie,
a
but
good portion.
A little bit of it, and not make it too on the nose, but at least like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, like one big-ass long shot. It can even be like a wipe long shot, which basically block it by something obscure as like a wall of a building and whatever. But I want someone to get hit with a trash can. I want like some jump kicks happening.
Somebody to pick up a turkey that's been in a trash can and eat it.
Yep. Oh, I'm hurting. Let me eat this turkey.
Right?
That's awesome. I do want that now.
I thought it was cool. Yeah. The only other article I have here, real quick, is just that the director. This is from Inverse. Constantine 2's R rating could finally make good on the promise of the original movie, which I believe was supposed to be R rated.
Was, yes.
But they toned it back to PG-13, if I recall right.
Yeah.
So they are trying to make a rated R Constantine 2.
Which, in this day and age, if it's done well, it will do perfectly fine.
Yeah. But anyway, that's basically all I had. Just a couple of short little things there.
Well, Joseph, I actually had one thing to talk about.
Oh my God, and you saved it?
I did, but I didn't need to because it was going to be my topic I wanted to talk about anyways.
Okay, good.
And that's Artemis I. Or Artemis
okay.
The Artemis Project is really what I wanted to talk about. Because I think it's a cool thing, and you probably know more about it than me.
Only a little bit more.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's like a scotch more, probably, because you've probably read about more of it than I have. So for the people who don't know, Artemis Project, which actually had a different name, and Joe probably can tell me what it was beforehand.
No, I can't.
I can't remember what it was. I saw it in one of the articles I was reading. But basically, it is humanity's, everybody's return to the moon. For not just, hey, we're going to land on the moon, we'll get our boots dirty, pick up a couple souvenir rocks, and just yeet back to the Earth. This is a little more elaborate of a thing, and it's actually a test project for twofold. One is to sustain livable life on the moon. When I say that, we're not planting like crops or whatever. We're talking about human beings living on the surface of the moon for long periods of time. The other part of it is to test the habitats that they potentially will be using on Mars in the upcoming few years or whatever timeline they shoot for. So far I'm correct, Joe, right? I haven't missed anything yet. Artemis I, which just successfully launched the night of Tuesday the 15th. Is that right? What day is today?
That's a good question. Today's the 17th, so 2 days ago.
Yep, so the 15th was, so that the Artemis I launch was the first of many rockets to be headed up. And this one, so is this one fully unmanned?
Yeah, this one is definitely fully unmanned.
Right?
I think they've only sent up a Snoopy doll with it.
Okay. Because this one is basically just to send up a bunch of the materials, right, in the rover,
No, this is as far as I can remember, it's just a test flight. So their
this was the
goal
test
is
flight.
to just literally orbit the moon
That's what it
and
was.
then come back.
Yeah.
So they're basically testing those systems. Yeah, they launched with everything that would be normal, and I say everything because a emergency abort system they had when they launched as well, but they didn't test it. This is just mostly just to test everything. The only extra thing that went along with it, apparently during the final stage or the separation of the final stage, there was some satellites that they put into orbit as well. I just don't remember what they were. But yeah, this is just to go there, fly around the moon. This is a very broad explanation. Fly around the moon a couple times and then come back and basically test getting there, going around, and then the descent when they come back.
That's what it was. I knew there was something else in there that wasn't. I remember it was. Yeah, it was. It wasn't this. They're not touching down this time. This is our first step to getting back. I had to pull that
here
up.
it says so Orion, which is the command module, and the there's another module there too. Will break into a retrograde orbit, meaning that as the moon goes one way, it'll go the other way around. Distant polar lunar orbit and remain for about 6 days before boosting back towards Earth. The capsule will separate from its service module. Okay, so yeah, the Orion capsule and the service module are the two parts that are going to the moon. When it comes back, it'll separate from the module. The actual capsule will separate from the service module, and the capsule will actually re-enter Earth's orbit for braking and splash down under parachutes. And then supposedly the service module will just burn up in the atmosphere. Yeah.
Supposedly. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. That obviously we're going this way. And I also think it's hilarious that it's Artemis project because the book by a certain particular artist or writer that we both enjoy. He wrote a book called Artemis, and it's literally about a colony on the moon. Of human beings, not like a fucking alien colony, but and living not just like, oh, we live in these little small habitats, like full on cities that like span the moon in different areas, and it's pretty neato on there. So that's pretty rad. But it was interesting. I didn't get to. I had to be up early Wednesday morning to go to work and all, so I couldn't really watch most of it. I got as far as the break at the T-10, so I didn't get to see any of it actually happen, other than just the shots of the rocket and blah blah blah. But I did watch clips posted the next day of the launch, and it was pretty cool to watch it.
Yeah, it was really cool. I actually did manage to watch it live. So what was interesting is they stopped for T-10 because around, which they stopped at around, I don't remember what time, 11 o'clock or something like that. Because at 9 o'clock they detected another leak, and I think it was in the hydrogen system, which is what postponed the previous launch attempts. But right around 11:40 or something like that, like I'd gone to bed, but obviously I didn't go to sleep. I was still putzing around on the internet, and just one last chance to see what was going on. I just Google searched it, and I saw a tweet from Mark Kelly saying that the launch is a go, and so I jumped in right there to watch it live. So it actually ended up launching sometime around midnight that night. But it was cool to watch. It was very much so like watching the old Apollo missions. You know, those things that the launches during the Apollo missions that you would see were just like huge, just like exhaust just coming out of the engines and whatnot, and then just this thing, just this flame just coming out of this little tiny rocket as it just goes up through into the air. It just goes and goes and goes. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and the visuals, obviously, the photography difference between the Apollo launches and the Artemis launches, a few decades have changed how we record these things, and the visuals were stunning, to say the least. Even like the close up camera shots from like the tower and stuff, way better, obviously nowadays than even back then. I don't know if they're using like GoPros or now or whatever, but like they're way more they still shake quite a bit because they're so close to the launch that they vibrate with the force and the reverberation of the rocket stuff going up. But it's way more clear. You can see the rocket within the plume, and then obviously the exterior shots, the far away to watch the arc actually go up and light up the sky as it travels is just stunning to witness and see. But also just the size, magnitude, or whatever you want to say of that rocket, and knowing that, like, in a short amount of time, human beings will be on that, on their first attempt, our first shot to go and build these habitats. And I'm trying to find the article originally I read, but I think that was actually on the internet. That talks about like the timeline they're essentially planning for, with Artemis 2 and 3.
So at least according to Wikipedia, Artemis 2 is slated for 2024 and will be the first crewed flight of the Orion spacecraft. It says 4 crew members will perform extensive testing in Earth orbit, and Orion will then boost into a free return trajectory around the moon. Just to give an idea of what a free return trajectory is, I can't remember. In orbital mechanics, a free return trajectory is a trajectory of a spacecraft traveling away from its primary body, where gravity due to a secondary body causes the spacecraft to return to the primary body without propulsion. So just out and back.
So slingshots itself.
Without having to really fire the thrusters. But they're not landing. That is literally just we sent people around the moon and they're coming back. It says launch is scheduled no earlier than May 2024. Artemis 3 will be a crewed, that is 2025 scheduled, will be crewed lunar landing. So that will be when they hope to get people onto the moon. Mission depends on a support mission to place human landing system in place near a rectilinear halo orbit of the moon prior to the launch of the SLS Orion. So that's the one where they're going to actually put stuff there for the crew to actually set up.
Yeah, with that new moon RV, as someone pointed out.
Yeah. So let's see. The astronauts will perform at least 2 EVs on the surface before HLS ascends to return to rendezvous with Orion. Orion will return 4 astronauts to Earth, so they're not staying there.
Yeah, that's just we made it back to the moon, and we're gonna leave the moon now, hopefully intact and all alive.
Artemis 4, 2027, is a crewed mission to the Lunar Gateway Station in NRHO using an SLS Block 1B, SLS Space Launch System. It looks like they're just setting more stuff up there. Artemis 4 through 5 through 8 will be, and beyond, were proposed to land astronauts on the lunar surface, where they will take advantage of increasing amounts of infrastructure that are to be landed by support missions. These will include habitats, rovers, scientific instruments, and resource extraction equipment.
Also, it has a cool logo.
It does have a cool logo. I'm trying to see if Lunar Gateway. what are we calling this lunar gateway? There are obviously some things in here that even I'm not really sure what are. The lunar gateway, or simply gateway, is a planned small space station in lunar orbit intended to serve as solar-powered communications hub, science laboratory, and short-term habitation module for government agency astronauts, as well as holding area for rovers and other robots. Oh, okay, so that's what the gateway is. I didn't know that they were doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's their. That was the.
So it's a little space station above the moon.
Yeah, so they can because they'll use that as like a midway point before landing on the moon for a lot of things. Also, be able to deploy stuff from there, and then return there if need be, if I'm not mistaken. There was some.
Okay, so that means that Artemis 4 won't even land on the moon. They're just going to be dealing with more lunar gateways.
Yeah, because part of it will be part of the rocket. Or where'd it go? I found it earlier. I'm reading it right now too. Here it is. As of 2022, only SpaceX's supply vehicle, known as Dragon XL, is planned to supply the gateway. Dragon XL is a version of the Dragon spacecraft to be launched by the Falcon Heavy. Unlike Dragon 2, its predecessors, it's intended to be an expandable spacecraft, and that's what the gateway logistics services thingy is that I found earlier on the article that I read earlier. And so they're basically co-project to help build the lunar gateway, which is the station that will orbit the moon. Basically, for people who don't know what lunar means, is moon. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty neato. It's kind of like a weird, like, this is our first step to being like, Starfleet and shit.
Starfleet.
I mean, obviously that's like the stupid little reference to Star Trek, but it's like our first venture to. I mean, we've had people, and Joe may know the exact number, but we've had several people living in space for quite a bit of time on the space station. On the
International Space Station.
International Space Station is the word we're looking for long periods of time. Obviously in zero gravity, blah blah blah. This will be our first when this finally goes all the way through. In the next handful of years or so, it'll be our first time where someone will be living in a habitat on the moon for long stretches of time, which is insane to think about. That's the thing we're going to be doing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just it's mind-boggling that we're there, which is, it's just it's very like we're living in a sci-fi world. Like, it feels for the first time, obviously. And obviously it's early days, so it's not like we know everything, but they're making very large steps towards something that seems so wild in actual thought. Like, concept wise, yeah, it's probably, we've had this thought. I say we, the collective we, have had this thought for many moons, pun intended, of how to do this and what it would be like. But like, it kind of seems like they're like real solid. Like, the plan's solid. The planning seems to be pretty solid, and like they're going forward with a lot of it. And obviously there's baby steps to get there, but they're big steps in the grand scheme of things. Thinking about like having a human being living on the moon. You know what I mean? Like, their daily cycle of sleeping, waking up, doing work, research, and different protocols to go through of expanding their own environment and driving around in a crazy RV of theirs, which I can't find the article that had the name of it, but it's something like it's like 9 feet tall, something like 15 feet long, has a toilet on it, which is cool, I guess, because you got to go bathroom somewhere.
Right.
But they will be using it to traverse and basically physically plan out, not just from pictures and video, but actually physically plan out and plant markers to set up habitats as the further missions go. And that right there is like we're setting up real estate. You know what I mean? That's fucking nuts to think about. That like they're gonna be putting down like physical markers on the moon that will represent the stations, the actual habitats they're gonna be planting, like to stay on the moon.
Yeah.
That's just it's weird. Like you say it out loud, like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. But then like that's like a human being that lives on our planet right now. In the next handful of years, will be living on the moon for like I don't remember they said how long it was going to be, but like they said like a couple months or some nonsense or a few months.
I actually don't remember either.
That's crazy to me. Like I get it. They live like how long do they usually stay on the ISS?
I don't remember how long it is, but generally it's only like a handful of months.
Right. That's it. Like that's like in a thing that's floating around our planet, which still that's math that's beyond my brain of being able to rack how that fucking works without, you know, being fucking falling into our atmosphere or floating off into space. But I know there's science behind it, and Joe knows all that stuff.
So most consecutive days in space by an American was 355 days.
Almost a full year?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I did not realize it was that long. I thought it was like 8 months at most.
That actually happened 2021 to 2022 by Mark Vandehay, I think is how his name's pronounced.
So is he the longest person to spend in space, or is there someone else from another country?
There is someone else, and that's what I swear there was someone else. Oh, that's a long article.
That's a long article.
It says that longest single space flight by a woman was 328 days. That was American astronaut Christina Koch, 2019 to 2020. Where is it?
Oh, there it is. I knew I saw. I found one of these articles that had a picture of the gateway.
Guinness Record says that is the longest stay by Mark Vandehay and actually a Russian cosmonaut, Pyotr Dubrov. 354 days, 14 hours, 56 minutes.
I just sent you the picture I was trying to find earlier about the gateway. This is the configuration concept for the lunar gateway, or just known as gateway to everybody who's part of the project.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's in obviously if you look at the far end of it, far right end is the Orion crew module that will basically be one of the vehicles that can dock to the end of it for different purposes, and then it has like the different breakdowns of the areas that they have, and then there's like
So the European Union is making the Orion module. No, the Orion service module.
Yeah.
NASA makes the Orion module.
Yep.
Roscosmos, which is the Russian space agency, is making the multi-purpose module that they dock to. That's interesting. Wonder how that's working out.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is about as international as
The space
as
station.
the International Space Station. Yeah.
And a lot of them are like joint operations together too. Like they're is it the logistics resupply is NASA in the Japanese.
Yeah, I just can't remember what because it's JAXA, the Japanese. I can't remember what that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know what it is either. But yeah, so because we also have the robotics is Canada.
Oh, does that say Canada? Jesus Christ, it's so pixelated. This image is so pixelated. When you try and zoom in, I can't see shit.
Yeah, it's the Canadian Space Agency and something or other of Canada, something like that. I can't remember what it was. I read it in the article and I don't remember there because there's a lot of fucking words to make up these fucking names. And then the Europeans and the Japanese will be doing the International Habitation Module. And then the U.S., so NASA will be doing the Utilization Module, which is obviously for us and going forward. And then the Communications Array Satellite thingy is the European group again. And then we have the actual power and propulsion element is done by NASA.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
To continue on, like the longest stay in space, approximately 437 days by Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov, and that was aboard the Mir space station.
Damn.
Which was Russia's space station.
Is that the one that broke up and fell down?
That's the one that they allowed to break up.
Yeah. Not that it did, but they dismantled it and whatever.
Yeah, and they just let it burn up in the atmosphere.
Over a year.
Over a year what?
Over a year in space.
Bro. Oh, over a year in space, yeah.
Over a year in space. That's fucking mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling, and that really affects you.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, for sure. Like, so, obviously, Moon's gravity is less than our Earth's gravity.
Approximately 1/6.
Yep. So, obviously, that will affect you in different ways than 0G, right?
And then microgravity, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, it'll still affect you differently than being on Earth because you'll weigh less and your body has to acclimate to the weight difference and your body burns more or doesn't retain as much calories or something. I can't remember. I read a bunch of stuff late at night and I'm not smart enough to remember all of it. But there's like, and they have, because part of it is they have to bring up a bunch of stuff that helps them keep the people alive. And because there's, obviously we don't have they don't have room for like groceries and like they're not Uber Eatings anything, yet, or not yet, but when they're there, so they have to have like all these like, nutrients rich things to subsidize their diets. And, part of the project I did read that they want to try to grow things on the moon, and like using hydroponics and all sorts of fun sci-fi stuff, because like the moon's soil doesn't really have nutrients to grow plants in and stuff like that, and they can't really bring soil up. They're going to do soil tests or soil experiments and stuff there. I read that. And I don't think the article didn't say utilizing like moon soil. They're bringing up some kind of like, the way I was reading it sounded like freeze-dried soil or something that they can utilize to boost nutrients in plants. I don't know. It was, again, there was a lot of science, and I was like, who wrote this fucking thing? Because I don't understand a goddamn word you're talking about. Please lower the reading level of this to like me, because I don't understand any of this stuff. I get it. It's science, right? But like I wasn't retaining any of those words because none of them made sense to me. If you could just break it down simply, would be fucking fantastic. But I was trying to read a bunch of it and understand what they're going to be doing there. And a lot of it is resource gathering for different tests of things and stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of different things they're doing there. It's not just going up there to like fucking chill on the moon and like get a weird suntan or whatever. But it's literally a majority of it is testing habitats that will be livable, say on, I don't know, a big red planet somewhere, and things like that. So that's pretty rad. But my brain's still trying to function about spending a year in space. Is she okay now? Is she dead? Is she alive?
No, I don't know. He.
Oh, it was her.
Wait.
Him?
He.
The Russian dude?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a guy. Okay, sorry. I thought you said
Well,
she.
Stay in space. I didn't see when that occurred. Well, obviously, it would have been during the 90s because it was
on the Mir space station.
The Mir space station. Oh yeah, he died September 7th of 2022 this past year.
Oh, this year? Dang. R.I.P. guy, space guy.
80 years old. So.
Oh, he was fucking 80. Oh wait, that was in the 80s. He would have been up there in the 90s. So yeah, it makes sense. That's like 20 years ago. So he was probably in his.
According to Wikipedia, he has a grand total of 678 days, 16 hours, and 32 minutes in space.
Fuck, dude. I mean, obviously multiple trips, right? Because that doesn't add up if you do the math properly. Because 400 something days and 600 days.
2 trips.
Is like, 2 trips. God dang.
One from August 28th, 1988 to April 27th, 1989, which was 240 days, 22 hours, 34 minutes. And the second one was January 8th, 1994 to March 22nd, 1995. The 437 days, 17 hours, 58 minutes.
Damn. Brother.
That's a lot of time in space.
Bro, that's so long. Like, I have a hard time being in a car for like 6 hours. This dude was in space for over a year. Clearly, he does not have claustrophobia.
Clearly. And I don't remember how big Mir Space Station was, but I think it was smaller than the International Space Station is.
Brother.
Yeah, you have to be like a certain type of person to be able to stay in such a confined quarters for such an amount of time.
Yeah, dude, because like the compulsion just to be able to like go outside and stretch is obviously like a spacewalk, right? Like he could probably put on a spacesuit and like exit the vehicle to get like, but like you can't just take a walk around the block if you're feeling like cabin fever setting in, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still tethered to this fucking thing spinning around our planet. You can't just fucking like, you know what? I want to go stroll in the park. There's no fucking park, bro. You're in space. Not yet. I mean, until we put fucking, I was gonna name off a fucking astronaut, and I literally spaced on all their names. I said Glenn popped in my head. What was the name of the fucking park in the book Artemis?
I don't remember what the name of the park was.
It was named after one of the fucking astronauts. The dude.
There's a lot of astronauts.
Yeah, but like
John Glenn.
John Glenn Park.
Okay.
I believe was the one that was in Artemis. I'm sorry. It's been like 4 years or whatever since I read that book.
It has been like 4 years since we read that book.
So, but I know I want to say it was John Glenn Park or whatever, or Square or whatever. You can't just fucking stroll around that. Like you're stuck in that fucking like apartment in space. No, dude. I'd get up there. I would like, you know what? I unpacked my stuff. Hey guys, I'm ready to come home now. It's boring. Obviously, like clearly he was by himself the majority of the time, right? Because like
I don't know. I'm still trying to read up on some of these missions. I doubt that he was by himself. Usually they send him up in groups of people. Like they don't usually have just one person go up and stay there for the whole amount of time. That would be that'd be a different type of endurance test and test of mental fortitude.
So they must have been switching people out constantly then. Like, so he must have like, I mean, obviously, like if he wasn't up there by himself for long periods of time.
Yeah, they usually switch out people every few months.
Dang, what made him so special? They just wanted to see how long a human being can go up there without fucking.
So at least according to this,
mad?
he volunteered for the 437-day flight to learn how the human body will respond to microgravity environment on a long-duration mission to Mars.
Oh.
So he was a volunteer of him doing this, and also to kind of study, like, I guess, the mental aspects of things. It says, upon returning from his second space flight, Polyakov held the record for the most time in space. Data from Polyakov's flight has been used by researchers to determine that humans are able to maintain a healthy mental state during long-duration space flight, just as it would on Earth. So, yeah, they were studying a lot of things with him.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, like, volunteering. Could you imagine the amount of overtime you'd have to pay somebody?
Oh, yeah, right?
Like, you hit 40 hours a while ago. That's going to be a hefty paycheck.
Right.
Dang, dude, that's crazy, though. Like, he died at what age?
80.
80?
Yep.
So, like, when he was in space, he was like, that was early 90s, you said, right? So, like, that was quite a long time ago. It was like 20
So that, the last one was 94, 95.
So, yeah, almost 28 years? 27 years? I'm trying to math in my head. I can't spell. So almost 30 years ago. So that dude was in his 50s.
Yep.
When he was in space.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention the year, but I'm in my 40s, and I have a hard time sitting in a van for 5 hours. This dude was in space for over a year, and he was in his 50s. So clearly he's in better shape than I am, or was in better shape than I was. I'm in better shape than he is now, but that's because he's dead.
Yeah.
But barely. Wow, that's fucking crazy. And the American dude was over a year, almost a year, right? He was 300. You said 355 days or whatever.
Yeah, approximately 355 days.
Man, dude, he should have been like, nah, can we get another week? Like, just shoot for or another 10 days or whatever. Like, shoot for a whole year though, right? Like, well, that
at least get the year in, right?
Yeah, like it just seems weird. Like, why not go for a year? Like, let's go for a year, right? Like, they gotta have, like, obviously he had extra whatever you needed to have to stay alive, like oxygen and shit, just in case they couldn't get his ass back down in time, right? Like, they didn't go, hey, you have 356 days worth of supplies, so be ready to come back, right? Like, they had to plan for, like, the inevitability of him not being able to come back at a certain time, I would hope, right?
You're saying that they didn't just plan out exactly the amount of supplies. Yeah, obviously the International Space Station is constantly supplied with stuff. And there's not only just one person there. In fact, you can actually see how many people are on the International Space Station at any given time.
You can go to the website and look at the video feed, which is fucking creepy. They don't put them on the bedrooms, though. I read the article. They don't have cameras in the sleeping area, which is good because that's a whole different fetish. They can turn the camera on though if they want to show like a tour of the bedroom. I read that too, but it's not a constant feed that's on. You can only look at the working areas, from what I read.
There's 7 people there now.
Dang,
it says
that's like more than the cast of
so
Friends.
It's not like they're alone. And they're not. It's not like they're. It's constantly been manned. It has not been not manned.
Unmanned?
Since yeah, there we go. Unmanned. I'm still very fuzzy brained right now. It has not been unmanned since it went up. So it has been constantly manned. So it's constantly supplied. So yeah, you're right. It's not. I would imagine that it was only more or less that they probably had some sort of window that they could bring him back by. If they missed the window, they'd have to wait a little bit longer to bring him back. So that's probably why he was brought back then. Either that, or it could have been some other medical issue. I don't know. I didn't read anything the rest of it.
Oh, okay. Here's the Artemis Phase 1 path to lunar surface. I found the other photo. I don't know if this one's going to be better because this is coming from the same article.
Oh, this is it shows the spacecraft traveling towards you have like the moon on the bottom and the Earth and the Mars in the upper right corner.
Yeah. So then it breaks down the phase. So like Artemis I, first human spacecraft to the moon in the 20th century. Artemis II, first humans to orbit the moon in the 20th century. Then you have Artemis support mission, first high-powered solar electric propulsion, or SEP as they call it, system. Then Artemis support mission, first pressurized module delivered to Gateway. Then Artemis support mission, human landing system delivered to Gateway. And then Artemis 3, crewed mission to Gateway and lunar surface. So Artemis 3 will be astronauts going to the Gateway and then going to the surface at the same time. In the same mission.
Yeah.
And that's 2024 will be the end of that time. That's phase 1. Of the whole project.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, I misspoke. Project was the code name. It's Artemis Program. Is the actual name of it, because the program project was what it was when it was a theory and like in the planning stages. Once they officially launched the rocket, that is phase 1 of the actual program, because it's literally the program to be on the moon. So I misspoke earlier when I said that. I apologize for all the fucking space nerds out there who are just chomping at the bit to correct me. I misspoke because I was reading the article and it kept saying Artemis Project, because that is literally what they were working on until the launch of the rocket Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, whatever it was. Wednesday morning. Right? Wednesday morning? When did it fucking launch? After midnight, right? Our time or their time?
Right around midnight.
Yeah. So
I don't know the exact time.
It was our midnight our time, right? But because it was in because it's in Florida, it would have been Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
By the clock. Humans on the moon, 21st century. The first crew leverages infrastructure left behind by previous missions. Oh, they're gonna take all the other shit we left on the planet before? That's cool. First robotic landing on uneven human lunar return, and in situ resource utilization, or ISRA. Wow, that's a fucking terrible name. Site first ground truth of polar crater. There's a bunch of weird shit on this little fucking picture on here about what they're doing. So that's cool. I just think it's rad. I think it's just a cool thing that we're doing outside of all the other bullshit we're doing on our planet now. It's just cool to see, like, you know, a lot of this going through. To your point, though, I wonder how the Russian thing's going. That seems bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually,
because there were lots of threats a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Over the whole invasion of Ukraine. Don't want to get too much into all that political stuff, but yeah, they threatened to pull out of the International Space Station. So obviously, reading here that they have a hand in making at least one component of one of the systems here, I imagine that things are still going okay. They obviously didn't. I don't think they pulled out of the International Space Station at all. So things are possibly still going okay.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Does Space Force have anything to do with this? I can't find that in this article.
I don't know. I want to say when I was listening to something, when I was listening to the the launch, they did mention the name of it, but that might have just been for like
comic relief,
telemetry tracking and control. Not much of as far as actually building or funding anything. But let's do a quick Google.
Trying to see. It was mentioned like this. There's a timeline in this article about the formation of the whole thing, and former President Donald Trump had a little bit to do with it, because he reestablished the National Space Council
But that doesn't have anything to do with the Space Force.
No, I was trying to see if anything had to do with it, because I don't see it listed in here as any bearings or anything on there. Just super clever. Did they steal the idea of calling it Artemis from the book? I mean, I know that Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo, and it just makes sense, right? Because, like, Apollo is the Greek god of the moon or whatever, or something like that.
I think it literally is just that.
And it's, like, obviously just the correlation between the two.
Yeah, I think it's just that. They've been working on this for a very long time.
Yeah, this
very,
wasn't
very
like a fucking, hey, we'll just start this up now. This has been going on for a few decades now.
So I imagine it's just Andy Weir probably just took the name from them, what they were already doing.
Yeah, he probably lifted it from them versus them lifting it from him.
Yeah.
There was a thing in here that told me when they started it, and I don't remember where it was.
When they started Artemis?
When they actually started the actual Artemis program. Well, Artemis Program incorporates a shit ton of stuff they've been doing beforehand, but I can't remember. It said in here when they did it, and I don't see it now, or maybe it wasn't this article. I'm so stupid.
Well, according to Wikipedia, the program was formally established in 2017 during the Trump administration. However, many of its components, such as the Orion spacecraft, were developed during the previous Constellation program, which was 2005 to 2010, during the Bush administration.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It was canceled under the Obama administration. Orion's first launch, yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, the origins of it were in 2005 during the Constellation. They included the development of the Ares 1 and Ares 5 and the Orion Crew exploration vehicle. The program ran from the early 2000s until 2010. Nothing canceled the non-Orion elements of the Constellation program. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. So I knew there was something in here about it. I just couldn't remember where it was at. And this article is long as shit, fucks. Why does it bring me back to Wikipedia every time I click on that link? Oh, that's because these photos are from the Wikipedia article. That is hilarious. That is fucking hilarious. The photos are credited to NASA, but they link to whoever wrote this article took them and gave a footnote to Wikipedia. So now I'm reading almost the exact same stuff on Wikipedia. So this person who wrote the article is not good at their job. Unless the person who wrote the article on Wikipedia, then I just made fun of them for no reason.
Yeah, could have been.
I don't know. Anyhow, Wikipedia is way easier to get through. Holy shit, they have links for stuff? Oh my god, I should not be reading that article. The article has a lot of science fluff in it. I don't know if that's fluff, and that's kind of mean to say, but there's a lot of science stuff in that article that I don't understand. I don't think they're even words. I think this person made them up to make me feel bad. Oh, this is so much easier to read. Why should I start here? Thanks, Wikipedia.
That's where I always start.
I should have started it too, except for I started on the article I was reading because I thought I was fucking better for it, but nope.
No, because the cool thing about Wikipedia is when you run into something that you're not sure about, it's usually linked to something else.
Yep. Support missions. That's what I was looking for earlier. Support missions include robotic landers, delivery of gateway modules, gateway logistics, delivery of the HLS, and the delivery of elements of the moon base. Do they have a name for the moon base, or is it just moon base? Because that sounds cool, but it seems like it should have a name. Does it have a
I don't
name?
know, actually, if they've named it yet.
Well, I would like to give it a name.
What are you going to name it?
I don't know yet,
Moon
but
base?
I would like to give
Okay.
it a name.
I think it'd be funny if they named it Jamestown.
That would be funny, actually.
The reason why I would say that'd be funny is if you haven't ever watched what's the Apple TV Plus show?
Um,
Literally about this too.
it has a name. I almost said Avenue
Yep.
5, but that's the HBO one
That
about
is
the cruise
that is
ship.
not. It is a space show that just came
Uh,
back that I still need to watch. Uh, oh my god, it's got RoboCop in it
I know
as
it
well.
does. I literally just said this to Paige the other day. I needed to continue watching it.
So do I.
For All Mankind. Holy
For All Mankind.
shit!
Yeah. For All Mankind, if you don't know, is an Apple TV Plus show. Fantastic show. I watched the first 2 seasons, I think it was, and I need to pick up watching the final few seasons. But it's exactly this, except if we never stopped going to the moon back in the 70s, back in the 60s, 70s.
Which is, it's funny
So-
because it was created by Ronald D. Moore. I always forget they put the D in there. I was going to say Ronald Moore. Who is the dude that basically like made that one show, not Babylon, Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
Reimagined. Sorry. Reimagined Battlestar Galactica. He didn't make the original one. He made the new one, the highly successful one, and including that fucking episode where the baby kept crying in the background. I hate that fucking episode. It's the worst fucking thing they did on that show. And they did a lot of stupid shit on that show, but that was the worst episode of human television. Yet. I'm sure that someone's going to beat it eventually. But yeah, it's like like Joe was saying a second ago before I cut him off, it is basically as if the space race was actually a space race at that point. Like we ended up not being the first people to land on the moon. But the entirety of the show is literally these different countries striving to be the first for other things, and exploring and having habitats on the moon, and all that fun stuff. Which is not where I thought that show was going, by the way. I remember you and I talked about that. Because that twist, by the way, I spoiled a show that came out a couple years ago for you. That twist at the end of season 1, you're like, wait, who landed what? Where? Before that wasn't us.
Right.
What just happened? Yeah, it was weird. I was like, oh shit. You done changed history. That's crazy.
But the U.S. eventually does put a station up there. They call it Jamestown Base.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it'd be funny if they just called it Jamestown. I'm sure they'll call it something else. Artemis Space Station, Artemis Space Hub, something like that.
So they just say, what the hell? They don't have. Oh my god, that's a cool picture. It's clearly not real. Real fake. But no, it doesn't have it just says a permanent base camp on the moon. Why not? Why don't you have a name for this yet? You have names for all sorts of shit. But your not your final goal, but like your big fucking milestone goal in this is to have a fucking base on the moon you don't have a name for yet. There's got to be a name for it somewhere, right? They can't just be calling it moon base. I mean, it could be, I guess, calling it just moon base, but I would be very upset if they just called it moon base. Who the... Wikipedia doesn't have a name for it. That doesn't mean it's not named already. It just doesn't have a name for it.
Artemis Space Camp? just a random Google of it shows up Artemis Base Camp. Yeah. Eventually, the plan will be to construct a surface habitat called Artemis Base Camp.
Okay, so maybe that's a better name than Moonbase. Moonbase sounds fucking dope, but it also sounds very supervillainy.
Yes, it does.
Hey, do you think they're gonna find Elon Musk's Moonbase that he has on there? Like, is that gonna be like a conflict? If his like crazy Tesla robots are gonna fucking like attack him?
I think he's too busy with Twitter to care about anything else right now.
Too busy burning Twitter to the ground?
Yeah, right?
Why would you spend all that money just to fucking... I mean, he didn't obviously know he was going to burn it to the ground with his dumb choices, but he definitely did. A lot of pissed off people.
Yep.
Yeah, Twitter's literally become a hellscape of political nonsense and like people just being mad they have to pay for a blue check mark on their name.
Which is dumb to have to begin with. Like, it totally defeats the purpose of the blue check mark.
Yeah.
If you can just pay to have one. It's fucking stupid. But don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm not even on Twitter, so I don't care.
I'm barely on Twitter, but...
Good.
I don't think I tweet anything, really. Other than the stuff for the show. And I don't even do that. It's a fucking automated system. Do a little checkbox, and it goes, oh, you want to put it on Twitter? I'm like, yep, I do.
Yes, I do.
Anyhow...
Yeah.
We're wrapping it up. Producers give me that signal. But yeah, I just think it's fucking cool that we're living in a fucking space world now. We're gonna be space farers as a human race, which is
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and apologize
cool.
for anything we run into out there, for us, because we're pretty much majority of us are terrible, in our own rights. Present company excluded, I guess, but yeah, for the most part, we're not a great species. So sorry ahead of time.
Yeah, I imagine that we'll still be just sticking around here for many, many years to come.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just going to basically be like The Expanse, if anything.
Yeah, I mean the I'll say this to any non-human creatures that can understand what the fuck I'm saying. And I'm sorry I use so much bad language, but it doesn't matter. They're just words. The people you'll be meeting, on the other hand, are going to be the best and brightest, if that helps you. So don't assume that everyone here is just like them. Just know that you met the best of us, and the rest of us here are hoping not to try to nuke you if we ever meet you.
Right.
Because that'll happen. Anyhow, that's it for this week's episode of Comes Naturally. We have been
Joe.
I have been Cody. And as usual, you fuckers just came naturally.